Hare Krishna, my friends. Happy New Year and welcome to Bhaktiville. We are continuing our reading of the teachings of Queen Kunti, which are a series of verses in our Srimad Bhagavatam. We're on chapter 13 of our book, which is titled The Vital Force of the Universe. And here, Srila Prabhupada adeptly quotes from many sources to help us understand Queen Kunti's bewilderment and to sort it all out. This chapter begins on page 115 of the PDF or page 87 of the book. Welcome to everyone who's here. Bhaktiville and Greece Cokes is here. And welcome to any of you who are listening to the recording or listening to us live on Facebook. Before we start reading, let me offer my obeisances. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Panchakalpa Tarubhyashta, Kripasindubhye Vacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I also offer my respectful obeisances unto the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, here, there, everywhere, universes, past, present, future. They are just like desire trees and can fulfill the desires of everyone. They are full of compassion for the fallen, conditioned souls. Hey, look who's here, Sister Mysterious. Hey, Haribo, nice to see you. She's our next door neighbor, you know. She lives right next door here. Yeah. All right, so we don't have the book up here in a box. We're reading teachings of Lord Chaitanya, teachings of Queen Kunti. All right, let me get going here on the book. Oh, no, first let's look at the verse. So the verse is up here on this piece up here next to Greece. And let's read the word for word first. Janma, birth, karma, activity, cha, and Vishva Atman, O soul of the universe, Ajasya, of the unborn, Akartuhu, of the inactive, Atmanaha, of the vital energy, Tiryak, animal, Nre, human being, Rishu, in the sages, Vadasu, in the water, Tat, that, Atyanta, veritable, Vidambanam, bewildering. What a great word, Vidambanam. All right, so the verse is Janma karma chavishvatman ajasya kartur atmanaha tiryan rishishu yadashu tad atyanta vidambanam. And the translation, of course, it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work, though you are inactive, and that you take birth, though you are the vital force and the unborn. You yourself descend amongst animals, men, sages, and aquatics. Verily, this is bewildering. And that's in this series of verses in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 8th chapter, verse 30. All right, onward we go to the text. The transcendental pastimes of the Lord are not only bewildering, but also apparently contradictory. In other words, they are all inconceivable to the limited thinking power of the human being. The Lord is the all-prevailing supersoul of all existence, and yet he appears in the form of a boar among the animals, in the form of a human being as Rama, Krishna, etc., in the form of a rishi like Narayana, and in the form of an aquatic like a fish as Matsya. Yet it is said that he is unborn and he has nothing to do. In the Shruti mantra, it is said that the Supreme Brahman has nothing to do. No one is equal to or greater than him. He has manifold energies, and everything is performed by him perfectly by automatic knowledge, strength, and activity. And I think here Srila Prabhupada is referring to Sri Upanishad as the Shruti verses. Shruti verses are mantras that um, are taught by being heard as opposed to reading them or remembering them. So, Shruti mantras. So, all these statements prove without any question that the Lord's activities, forms, and deeds are all inconceivable to our limited thinking power. And because he is inconceivably powerful, everything is possible in him. Therefore, no one can calculate him exactly. Every action of the Lord is bewildering to the common man. He cannot be understood by the Vedic knowledge, but he can be easily understood by the pure devotees, because they are intimately related with him. The devotees therefore know that although he appears among the animals, he is not an animal, or a man, or a rishi, or a fish. He is eternally the Supreme Lord in all circumstances. Kunti addresses Krishna as Vishvatman, the vital force of the universe. In everyone's body, there is a vital force. That vital force is the Atma, the living being, the living entity, the soul, you. It is because of the presence of that vital force, the soul, that the whole body works. Similarly, there is a supreme vital force. That supreme vital force is Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead. Therefore, where is the question of his taking birth? In Bhagavad Gita 4:9, the Lord says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvataha tyaktva deham punar janma naiti mam etiso juna, which translates as, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. In this verse, the word divyam especially indicates the Lord's appearance and activities are spiritual. And elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Ajopi san avyayatma, which is from Bhagavad Gita 4:6. And he says, although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates. The word aja means unborn, and avyayatma means not subject to destruction. This is the nature of Krishna, whose transcendental nature is further described by Kunti Devi in her prayers to the Lord. In the beginning of her prayers, Kunti said to the Lord, you are within and you are without, but still you are invisible. Krishna is within everyone's heart. Ishvaraha sarva bhutanam hrideshu juna tishtati, which is one part of one verse, Bhagavad Gita 18:61. The Lord is situated within everyone's heart, and another part of another verse, Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sani Vishtaha, which is, I am seated in everyone's heart. Indeed, he is within everything, even within the atom. Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam. And that's from Brahma Samhita, where Brahma says, he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe. Krishna is within, and he is also without, outside. Thus, Krishna showed Arjuna his external feature as the Vishvarupa, a gigantic cosmic manifestation. This external body of Krishna is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's in the second canto, the first chapter. There's a whole section, and Prabhupada summarizes it here. There, the hills and mountains are described as the bones of the Lord. Similarly, the great oceans have been described as different holes in the Lord's universal body. and the planet known as Brahmaloka has been described as the upper portion of his skull. Those who cannot see God have thus been advised to see him in many ways in terms of the material cosmic manifestation, according to the instructions given in the Vedic literature. There are those who can simply think of God as being great, but do not know how great he is. When they think of greatness, they think of very high mountains, the sky, and other planets. Therefore, the Lord has been described in terms of such material manifestations, so that while thinking of these different manifestations, one can think of the Lord. That is also Krishna consciousness. If one thinks, this mountain is the bone of Krishna, or if one thinks of the vast Pacific Ocean as Krishna's navel, one is in Krishna consciousness. Similarly, one may think of the trees and plants as the hairs on Krishna's body. One may think of Brahmaloka as the top of Krishna's skull, and one may think of the Patalaloka planetary system as the soles of Krishna's feet. Thus, one may think of Krishna as greater than the greatest. Mahato Mahiyan. Bhaktiville says, I don't remember the plants as hairs. I like that one. Yeah, it's there in the Bhagavatam, in that Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, first chapter, starts around verse 26. He starts going through those different things. Similarly, you can comb Krishna's hair a lot. Yeah, working on the grass, working on planting some flowers, doing stuff. Okay, similarly, one may think of Krishna as smaller than the smallest. That is also a kind of greatness. Krishna can manufacture this gigantic cosmic manifestation, and he can also manufacture a small insect. In a book, one may sometimes find a small running insect smaller than a period. This is Krishna's craftsmanship. Anyor Aniyam Mahato Mahiyam. And that's from the Katha Upanishad 1-20, which translates as God is smaller than the smallest and greater than the greatest. And Prabhupada rephrases that as he can create something greater than the greatest and smaller than the smallest. Now, human beings have manufactured the 747 airplane, which, according to their conception, is very big. But can they produce an airplane as small as a flying insect? That is not possible. Actual greatness, however, is not one-sided. One who is actually great can become greater than the greatest and smaller than the smallest. But even the great things men can manufacture in the modern age are still not the greatest things man has created. We have information from the Srimad Bhagavatam that Kardama Muni, the father of the great sage Kapila Dev, manufactured a huge plane that resembled a great city. It included lakes, gardens, streets, and houses, and the whole city was able to fly all over the universe. In that plane, Kardama Muni traveled with his wife Devahuti and showed her all the planets. He was a great yogi, and his wife Devahuti was the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, a great king. Kardama Muni had desired to marry, and Devahuti told her father, my dear father, I want to marry that sage. Thus Swayambhuva Manu brought his daughter to Kardama Muni and said, Sir, here is my daughter. Please accept her as your wife. She was a king's daughter and was very opulent. But when she joined her austere husband, she had to serve so much that she became lean and thin. In fact, even with insufficient food, she was working day and night. Thus Kardama Muni became compassionate. This woman who has come to me is a king's daughter, he thought. But under my protection, she is not receiving any comfort. So I shall give her some comfort. Thus he asked his wife, what will make you comfortable? Woman's nature, of course, is that she wants a good house, good food, fine garments, good children, and a good husband. These are a woman's ambitions. Thus Kardama Muni proved to her that she had received the best husband. By yogic powers, he created for her this great airplane and gave her a big house with maidservants and all opulences. Kardama Muni was merely a human being, but he could perform such wonderful things by yogic powers. Krishna, however, is Yogeshwara, the master of all yogic powers. If we get a little mystic power, we become important. But Krishna is the master of all mystic powers. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that wherever there is Yogeshwara Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master of all mystic powers, and wherever there is Arjuna, who is also known as Partha or Danodar, everything is present. And that's the very last verse of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. So we should always remember that if we can keep ourselves always in company with Krishna, we shall attain all perfection. And especially in this age, Krishna has incarnated as the holy name. Kali Kali Nam Rupa Krishna Avatar. It's from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Ati Leela 1722. And that translates as, in this age of Kali Yuga, the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is the incarnation of Lord Krishna. And therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela 2016, Nam Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatra Arpita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha. My dear Lord, you are so kind that you are giving me your association in the form of your holy name. And this holy name can be chanted in any situation. There are no hard and fast rules for chanting Hare Krishna. One can chant Hare Krishna anywhere. Children, for example, also chant and dance. It is not at all difficult. While walking, our students take their beads with them and chant. Where is the loss? But the gain is very great, for by chanting we associate with Krishna personally. Suppose we were to associate personally with the president. How proud we would feel. Oh, I'm with the president. So should we not feel very much proud if we were to associate with the Supreme President, who was able to create many millions of presidents like those of this world? This chanting is our opportunity to do that. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Etadrishi tava kripa bhagavan mamapi. My dear Lord, you are so kind to me that you are always prepared to give me your association. Durdaivam idrisham ihajani nanuragaha. But I am so unfortunate that I do not take advantage of this opportunity. Oh, lots of stuff in chat. Reese says, Krishna would trash Superman, no question. Yeah, it's not. It's not Spider-Man versus Superman. It's like, oh, that's the answer right there. Superman's gone. Reese says, my two sisters would not like that phrase. Thanks to Pride and Prejudice, they have gone through life without any man or husband. Oh, that part, yeah. I think things have changed a bit since this was spoken. Grease says Joe Biden, it would be nice to meet him since he's a Scorpio. He's the president. All right, back to the book. Our Krishna consciousness movement is simply requesting people chant Hare Krishna. There was a cartoon in some newspaper that depicted an old lady and her husband sitting face to face. The lady is requesting her husband, chant, chant, chant. And the husband is answering, can't, can't, can't. And I found that cartoon. It's up here. It's up here, just next to Greece, just behind Greece. The woman is saying, chant, chant, chant. And the husband's going, can't, can't, can't. So in this way, we are requesting everyone, please chant, chant, chant. But they are replying, can't, can't, can't. This is their misfortune. Still, it is our duty to make all such unfortunate creatures fortunate. That is our mission. Therefore, we go into the street and chant. Although they say can't, we go on chanting. That is our duty. And if somehow or other we place some literature in someone's hand, he becomes fortunate. He would have squandered his hard earned money in so many nasty, sinful ways. But if he purchases even one book, regardless of the price, his money is properly utilized. This is the beginning of his Krishna consciousness. Because he gives some of his hard earned money for the Krishna consciousness movement, he gets some spiritual profit. He is not losing, rather, he is gaining some spiritual profit. Therefore, our business is somehow or other to bring everyone to this Krishna consciousness movement so that everyone may spiritually profit. Oh, looks like Kandita's coming. Okay, Greece is. I'm sure there's lots of women who live without a boyfriend or husband in today's age, but the anti-mind message always turned me off from Pride and Prejudice and Jane Austen. I like the Wheel of Time better. So I just wanted to make a note that all of the mics are turned off during the recording, and that if you'd like to say something, you can type it into chat. So Greece was speaking. If anyone noticed that no one was talking, that's what was going on. That's okay, Greece. Just wanted to remind you. All right. So when Krishna appeared on earth, not everyone knew that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although when there was need, he proved himself the Supreme Godhead. He generally appeared to be just like an ordinary human being. Therefore, Shukadeva Goswami, while describing how Krishna played as one of the cowherd boys, points out Krishna's identity. Who is this cowherd boy? Shukadeva Goswami says, Itam Satam Brahma Bhutya. And this is a section in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 12th chapter, verse 11. Prabhupada has put a whole bunch of them together. I think it's maybe 5 verses he puts together describing the cowherd boys playing. And this little section that he's quoted translates as, in this way, all the cowherd boys used to play with Krishna, who is the source of the Brahman effulgence. The impersonalists meditate upon the impersonal Brahman and thus feel some transcendental bliss. But Shukadeva Goswami points out that the source of that transcendental bliss is here, Krishna. Krishna is the source of everything. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha. That's from Bhagavad Gita. I'm the source of all spiritual and material world. And therefore, the transcendental bliss that the impersonalists try to experience by meditating on the impersonal Brahman, in fact, comes from Krishna. Shukadeva Goswami says, here is the person who is the source of Brahma Sukha, the transcendental bliss that comes from realization of Brahman. Greece says he was just venting about how he grew up with sisters who praised Jane Austen. All right, so a devotee is always prepared to render service to the Lord. Dasyam gatanam paradaivatena. And that's from the same section of verses. Um, uh, But for those who are under the spell of illusory energy, he's an ordinary boy. Maya Shritanam Naradarakena. Ye yata mam prapadyante tams tataiva bhajamyaham. And that's from Bhagavad Gita. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. So Prabhupada says Krishna deals with different living entities according to their conceptions. For those who regard Krishna as an ordinary human being, Krishna will deal like an ordinary human being, whereas devotees who accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead will enjoy the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, the object of the impersonalists is the Brahmajyoti, the impersonal effulgence of the Supreme, but Krishna is the source of that effulgence. Therefore, Krishna is everything. Brahmite Paramatmiti Bhagavan iti Shabdate. And that's also from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, verse 11. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. Yet the cowherd boys were able to play with that same Krishna, the exalted personality of Godhead. How have they become so fortunate that they are able to play with him? Itam satam brahma sukanu bhutya dasyam gatanam paradavatena maya shritanam naradarakena sardam vijaru krita punya punjaha. Bhagavatam 10, 12, 11. So this is the verse that he's been taking excerpts from all along. Oh, Kandita, Haribo, Hare Krishna. The cowherd boys playing with Krishna are also not ordinary, for they have attained the highest perfection of being able to play with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How did they achieve this position? Krita Punya Punjaha, by many, many lives of pious activities. For many, many lives, these boys underwent austerities and penances to achieve the highest perfection of life. And now they have the opportunity to play with Krishna personally on an equal level. They do not know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for that is the nature of Vrindavan Leela, Krishna's pastimes in the village of Vrindavan. Not knowing Krishna's identity, the cowherd boys simply love Krishna, and their love is unending. This is true of everyone in Vrindavan. For example, Yashoda Mata and Nanda Maharaj, Krishna's mother and father, love Krishna with parental affection. Similarly, Krishna's friends love Krishna. Krishna's girlfriends love Krishna. The trees love Krishna. The water loves Krishna. The flowers, the cows, the calves, everyone loves Krishna. That is the nature of Vrindavan. So if we simply learn how to love Krishna, we can immediately transform this world into Vrindavan. This is the only central point, how to love Krishna. Prema Pumarto Mahan. People are generally pursuing dharma, artha, kama, moksha, religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disregarded these four things. These are not what is to be achieved in life, he said. The real goal of life is love of Krishna. We've got comments here. He has 16,108 wives. There was a question. How many wives, but how many girlfriends? Innumerable. Can't count them. Of course, human life does not actually begin until there is some conception of religion, dharma. But in the present age, Kali Yuga, dharma is practically nil. There is no religion or morality, and there are no pious activities. And therefore, according to Vedic calculations, the present human civilization does not even consist of human beings. Formerly, people would care about morality and immorality, religion and irreligion. But with the progress of Kali Yuga, this is all being vanquished, and people can do anything without caring what it is. Srimad Bhagavatam says, and we can actually see, that in Kali Yuga, about 80% of the people are sinful. Illicit sex life, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling are the four pillars of sinful life, and therefore we request that one first break these four pillars so that the roof of sinful life will collapse. And then by chanting Hare Krishna, one can remain established in a transcendental position. It is a very simple method. Just checking comments. One cannot realize God if one's life is sinful. Therefore, Krishna says, Yesham tvantagatam papam, jananam punya karmanam, te dvandva moha nirmukta, bhajante mam drinta vrtaha. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, and who are freed from the duality of delusion, engage themselves in my service with determination. Bhagavad Gita 7:28. The word antagatam means finished. One can engage in devotional service if one has finished with his sinful life. Who can finish with sinful life? Those who engage in pious activities. Well, one must have activities, and if one engages in pious activities, one's sinful activities will naturally vanish. On one side, one should voluntarily try to break the pillars of sinful life, and on another side, one must engage himself in pious life. If one has no pious engagement, it is not that one can become free from sinful activities simply by theoretical understanding. For example, the American government is spending millions of dollars to stop the use of LSD and other such intoxicants, but the government has failed. How is it that simply by passing laws or giving lectures, one can make people give up these things? It is not possible. One must give people good engagements, and then they will automatically give up the bad ones. For example, we instruct our students, no intoxication, and they immediately give it up, even though the government has failed to stop them. That is practical. Well, I see it that it's 6:33. Let me see how much more we have. We have two pages left. What should we do? Should we stop here or should we keep going? I'm asking you, what do you think? Tell me in chat, should we keep going or stop and continue next week? Okay, we can do 2 pages. It's up to me. I'm happy to keep listening. Okay, I'll keep going. Here we go. Param drishtva nivartate. If someone isn't given good engagement, his bad engagements cannot be stopped. That is not possible. Therefore, we have two sides: prohibition of sinful activities and engagement in good activities. We don't simply say no illicit sex, no intoxication, and so on. Mere negativity has no meaning. There must be something positive because everyone wants engagement. That is because we are living entities, not dead stones. By meditation, the impersonalist philosophers try to become dead stones. Let me think of something void or impersonal. But how can one artificially make oneself void? The heart and mind are full of activities, so these artificial methods will not help human society. The quote there at the beginning of this paragraph is from Bhagavad Gita 2:59, and it's really such a great verse. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagement by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. And that's Prabhupada's whole program right there. All right, continuing. Methods of so-called yoga and meditation are all rascaldom because they provide no engagement. But in Krishna consciousness, there is adequate engagement for everyone. Everyone rises early in the morning to offer worship to the deities. The devotees prepare nice food for Krishna. They decorate the temple, make garlands, go out chanting, and sell books. They are fully engaged 24 hours a day, and therefore they are able to give up sinful life. The child has in his hands something that he is eating, but we give him something better, he will throw away the inferior thing and take the better thing. So in Krishna consciousness, we offer better engagement, better life, better philosophy, better consciousness, everything better. Therefore, those who engage in devotional service can give up sinful activities and promote themselves to Krishna consciousness. Activities intended to promote all living entities to Krishna consciousness are going on not only in human society, but even in animal society also. Because all living entities here are part and parcel of Krishna, but are rotting in this material world, Krishna has a plan, a big plan to deliver them. Sometimes he comes to this world personally, and sometimes he sends his very confidential devotees. Sometimes he leaves instructions like those of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna's incarnation appears everywhere, and he appears among animals, men, sages, and even aquatics. Hiryan Rishishu Yad Yadashu. That's part of this verse that we're reading. For example, Krishna even appeared as a fish incarnation, and thus Krishna's birth, appearance, and disappearance are all bewildering. Tad atyanta vidambanam, also part of this verse we're reading. We condition living entities transmigrate from one body to another because we are forced to do so by the laws of nature. But Krishna does not appear because he is forced. That is the difference. Those who are foolish rascals think, I've taken my birth in this world, and Krishna has taken birth here also. Therefore, I'm also God. They do not know that they will have to take birth again by the force of the laws of nature. One may have been given the chance to have a very beautiful body in a country where one can live in opulence and receive a good education. But if one misuses all this, one will get another body according to one's mentality. For example, at the present moment, despite so many arrangements by the government for good schools and universities, the civilized countries of the world are producing hippies, young people who are so frustrated that they even worship hogs. But if one associates with the qualities of the hogs, one will actually become a hog in one's next birth. Prakrete kriyamanani unai karmani sarvashaha. Bhagavad Gita 3:27. The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities which are in actuality carried out by nature. And nature will give one a full opportunity. All right, sir, become a hog. Such are nature's arrangements. Prakriti, nature, has three modes, and if one associates with one type of mode, one will receive his next body accordingly. Krishna's appearance and disappearance are meant to put an end to the living entity's transmigration from one body to another, and therefore one should understand the greatness of the plan behind Krishna's appearance and disappearance. It is not that Krishna comes whimsically. He has a great plan. Otherwise, why should he come here? He is very much eager to take us back home, back to Godhead. That is Krishna's business. Therefore, he says, Sarvadharmam parityajya mam ekam sharanam praja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Bhagavad Gita 1866, just before the end of the Bhagavad Gita. All of us are children of Krishna, of God, And since we are unhappy because of taking material bodies for repeated birth, death, old age, and disease, he is more unhappy than we are. Our situation in the material body is not at all comfortable, but we are such foolish rascals that we do not care to do anything about this. We are busy trying to arrange for temporary comforts in this life, but we are neglecting the real discomforts of birth, death, old age, and disease. This is our ignorance and our foolishness, and therefore Krishna comes to wake us up from this ignorance and take us back home, back to Krishna. And that's the end of this chapter. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai. Any comments or questions? Mics are on if you want to use voice. Jai. Everyone saying Jai in chat. Jai.
I was just saying in the main chat that Krishna is not ordinary if he's blue. The human race has many flesh colors, and they're definitely not blue or purple or any unusual shade. So that in itself makes Krishna very non-ordinary and very godlike.
There you go. There you go.
And not only that, he's blue all the way through. You know, no veins.
No veins, no bones. None of that.
Well,
That was a
could have
beautiful
bones, maybe
reading.
some
Thank you
of
so
those,
much.
or like the mountains or something.
Yes, we can think of him as the bones. The mountains and hills are bones.
I would think it'd be hard for us to break a bone in his body if they're made out of mountains. So I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Someone else was speaking. Can you repeat what you said?
I just said it was a really beautiful reading. Thank you. Thank you.
Sister Mysterious. These chapters are really great, and they're transcriptions of lectures. So sometimes while I'm reading it, Prabhupada says phrases that are identifiable, and I can hear him say it when I'm reading it. So it's such an interesting experience reading these things out loud.
I love that he calls people foolish rascals. It reminds me of my grandfather.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Foolish rascals. And when he says hog, I really wanted to say it like he did, but I didn't. He goes, hog. You want to be a hog. Anyone else comments? No? Okay. So we are here again at the Panchatattva Mandir on Sunday morning. If you'd like to join us at 9 o'clock, we'll be chanting 7 verses from Bhagavad Arkamarichi Mala, which is a collection of 1,000 verses that Bhaktivinoda Thakur found to be the most important verses of Bhagavatam. So we'll be here, and then we'll be back down at the main temple on Tuesday for Bhagavad Gita. All right, my friends. Have a wonderful week. If I don't
Thank
see
you.
Thank
You too.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
Prabhupada. Haribol.